Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to the LL3 podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida, and today's date, December 7th, on a Monday to be exact, 2020. And this is the anniversary of the horrific event that happened in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Japanese attack. Like I said before, there's plenty of information stating that Franklin Roosevelt had prior knowledge and changed the communications, had to order to change the communication system in that particular base. So folks, they may call it an inside job. But regardless, you still got to remember the good men and women that were lost, and the ones that saved a lot of lives. So I'm gonna actually be discussing a couple of articles here. I just looked it up. I'm gonna, haven't really read it thoroughly. Just took a glance. So I think I'm just gonna wing it. So yeah, I've got the hiccups. Excuse me. One moment, I'm gonna get a shot of my almond milk blend with bananas. Actually, it's pretty good. Blue Diamond makes it, and it's like a smoothie. All right, cool. So, without further ado, let's check this out. This here came from lifesitenews.com. And this reference is going on in the northern border. Canadian protests evil bill that would imprison parents for helping gender-confused children. This bill has to go totally and completely no comprise. There is nothing here that can be good for us for any Canadian, one event organizer said. It's written by Raymond Wolf, Ontario. On Friday, the Canadian pro-life organization Campaign Life Coalition rallied in the front of the Canadian Parliament to stop radical new anti-family legislation seeking to ban conversion therapy, Bill C-6, which is being promoted by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, which you all know he's a Club of Rome butt boy, and I say that with kindness. And the Liberal Party will punish treatment of children for gender dysphoria or homosexuality with up to 5 years in prison. So him and his lackeys are gonna be the father of your kids. Could we say 1984 101? Absolutely. Very Orwellian indeed. So, parents seeking to treat their children and priests advertising spiritual counseling would be liable to imprisonment under the bill. C-6 also would rewrite sections of the Canadian law to classify what is defined as conversion therapy alongside child pornography and obscenity. Campaign Life Coalition, a top Canadian pro-life and pro-family organization, protested legislation from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., led by Campaign's Life's David Cook. It is not enough for Bill C-6 to be tweaked, to be revised, just to fix the definition. We can't do that, Cook declared. This bill has to go totally and completely no comprise. There is nothing here that can be good for us or for any Canadian. Thousands of Canadians have signaled their agreement, adding their names to Campaign Life's coalition petition against C-6, which has garnered over 16,000 signatures so far. So all you folks in that territory, wherever you're at in Canada, it doesn't matter if you're in British Columbia, Northwest Territory, Yukon Territory, okay, Alberta, it doesn't matter, or Quebec, sign the damn thing. All right? Sign it. Because you have that right. And the government can't do a damn thing about it. So So that's what's occurring here, okay? As Campaign Life Coalition detailed, the shocking results of Bill C-6 would exclude extreme restrictions on the freedom of religion, conscious expression. The press, priests, and pastors will face jail time for publicly preaching repentance to homosexuals, they said. Yes, I'm right by the bridge along the New River. So, and of course, he's like a young little man who was just roaming around looking at birds and looking at the garden and learning the environment. So, I guess he's a big fascinated with pigeons. That's okay. It's all well and good. So parents will be jailed for 5 years for teaching their children to accept their biological gender or reject homosexual immorality. Campaign Life added. Books, videos, websites, TV programs, and perhaps the Bible itself will be censored and banned for espousing the traditional view of sexuality and gender as well. Every Bible-believing church in Canada practices conversion therapy. That's what this bill says. Cook warned at the protest on Friday is not called persecution, but surely is persecution. What else do you call a piece of legislation that denounces and criticizes our beliefs, our scriptures, and our practices as Christians? He continued. Bill C-6 tries to stop the work for God, Cook said. He also noted that Trudeau's government has been pushing Bill C-6 alongside with Bill C-7, which will allow doctors to euthanize Canadians who have lost the capacity to consent. Trudeau wants to push these radical bills through during a COVID crisis when people are going to have more trouble protesting and speaking out, Cook said. There's a petition, so all my fellow Canadians, please sign it. Campaign Life Coalition was joined at the rally by Dr. Anne Gillies, a trauma therapist from Ontario who condemned C-6 earlier this year, as Gillies spoke to the massive damage done to children by hormone blockers and transgender surgeries. Young children are being subject quickly to puberty blockers, and they are not being told the extent of the medical problems that they are going to have, she remarked. The ramifications for that are just starting, Gillies said, pointing out to a recent lawsuit in the United Kingdom that led to the prohibition of puberty-blocking drugs for minors under 16. So Justin Trudeau supports involuntary servitude. He wants to be a slave master. And even members of his scumbag Liberal Party. He is the enemy of humanity. And people like that should not come near me. Because I don't give a damn what these ungrateful parasites are. They're nothing more than tyrants. This is treasonous to the laws of nature, human nature. Now I am going to add the Canadian Constitution on this as well, and folks can really understand what the merits of this protest and the strong opposition. It is, in their Canadian Constitution, null and void, this Bill C-6. So, folks out there, there's links for it as well. You can check it out yourselves. And always look at the bigger picture. Next is going to be eugenics. That's how far it's going to go. On a spiritual mindset and physical. That'll be the next step. And Justin Trudeau is nothing more than a bend over Bob to the New World Order. Trust me on that. All right. I'm going to do one more here. This came from the American Conservative. It was out December 3rd. And James Bovard wrote this. And I got this through Consortium News. So I'm like, I got it today. It says, Barack Obama and the death of idealism. As it reads here, Americans are sickened of an idealism that is oblique, confusing, dishonest, and ferocious, as H.L. Mencken wrote 100 years ago. Though Mecca was condemning President Woodrow Wilson, the same verdict could characterize the legacy of former President Barack Obama. Obama, now on a book tour, issuing call for honest government, civic virtue, and similar tripe. But Obama did more to discredit idealism than any president since Wilson. So he's doing the book tour. So will he be signing it under the fiction section? Think about it, okay? A dozen years ago, Americans were enthralled by a newly elected president from Illinois after the deceit and demagoguery of George W. Bush era. Obama's first presidential campaign with this is "Yes, we can." Model swayed Americans that they could personally restore the moral grandeur of government. Its idealism was epitomized by the famous Hope campaign, I call it Hype, campaign poster that practically defied the candidate. Deified the candidate, excuse me. Shortly before his first inauguration, Obama announced what is required is the same perseverance and idealism that our founders displayed. After Obama's inaugural address, the media rejoiced as if a new age of political idealism has arrived. Practically, the entire world joined the race of canonizing a new president. Less than 12 days after he took office, Obama was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize when he received later that year Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh declared at the White House State Dinner, "We warmly applaud the recognition by the Nobel Committee of the healing touch you have provided and the power of your idealism and your vision." Shortly after receiving the Peace Prize, Obama announced he would triple the number of U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The Peace Prize helped insulate him from criticism as he proceeded to 7 bomb nations during his presidency. Obama-style idealism quickly became a shroud for federal atrocities. On Holocaust Remembrance Day on April 23, 2009, Obama called for the fighting to silence as evil greatest co-conspirator. Ironically, on the same day, Obama decided to oppose creation of a truth commission to vigorously investigate and expose Bush administration's crimes. After Obama visited CIA headquarters and praised his audience for helping to uphold our values and ideals, Obama chose not to prosecute any CIA officials who created a secret worldwide torture regime because it's important to look forward and not backwards. Over the next 5 years, Obama administration officials vigorously fought a Senate investigation into Bush torture abuses, and Obama personally defended the CIA after it was caught illegally spying on the Senate to thwart the inquiry. The Obama administration also torpedoed every lawsuit by a torture victim in the U.S. court. In 2011, Obama draped his decision to bomb Libya by invoking democratic values, the ideas which he asserted were the true measure of American leadership. But terrorist groups fighting dictator Muammar Gaddafi were already slaughtering civilians. Obama was so convinced of the righteousness of targeting Gaddafi that his appointees signaled that federal law, such as the War Powers Act, could not restrain the Salvation Mission. In the chaos that subsequently engulfed Libya, Ambassador Christopher Stevens and 3 other Americans were killed on the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. When their corpses arrived back in the U.S., Obama hailed the victims for embodying the courage, the hope, and yes, the idealism, that fundamental American belief that we can leave this world a life better than before. Obama's soothing rhetoric failed to deter the proliferation of slave markets where black migrants were opened and sold to Libya. And the funny thing about that, I remember all that time when everyone protested the Iraq War. And the same idiots didn't have the balls, excuse my language, didn't have the balls to protest against Barack Obama in Libya. They just shrugged their shoulders. You know why? Because they're nothing more than hypocrites and posers. Okay? So don't call yourself political experts when you do doublespeak. Obama declared that America's ideals still light the world and will not give them up for the expedience sake in his first inaugural address. But for one of Obama's most shocking legacies was his claim of a prerogative to kill U.S. citizens labeled as terrorist suspects without trial, without notice, and without any chance for the marked individuals to be legally object. Obama's lawyers even refused to disclose the standards used for designated Americans for death. Drone strikes increased tenfold under Obama, and he personally chose who would be killed at weekly Terror Tuesday. White House meetings which feature PowerPoint parades of potential targets. Drone Man. At his best. Year by year, Obama's lies and abuses of power corroded the idealism that helped him capture the presidency. As a presidential candidate, the promise no more illegal wiretaps. As president, he vastly expanded national security agencies' illegal seizures of Americans, emails, and other records. He promised the transparency but gutted the Freedom of Information Act and prosecuted twice as many Americans for Espionage Act. In fact, violation than all the presidents combined since Woodrow Wilson. He perennially denounced extremism. At the same time, his administration partnered with Saudi Arabia to send weapons to terrorist groups that were slaughtered Syrian civilians, a failed attempt to topple the regime of Bashar Assad. Obama helped establish an impurity democracy in which rulers paid no price for their misdeeds. As the New York Times noted, after the 2016 election, the Obama administration fought in court to preserve the legality of the defunct Bush administration practices such as torture and detaining Americans arrested at home as enemy combatants. And just to let you folks know, he did vote on preserving the Patriot Act as well as a senator. I think it was a couple of times he done that, all right? And I asked that question to some Obama supporters when a lot of us were out there rallying for Ron Paul. They didn't know what to say when I made that statement. Did you wake up in the morning and sing God Bless the Patriot Act? Senator Obama did. He voted for it again in 2017. That year. And I got the paperwork for it. They didn't know what to say. All right? Last August, in his speech to the National Democratic Convention, Obama declared, "Look, I understand why many Americans are down on government, but he has never owned up to his personal role, embittering millions of Americans who bought into this Mr. Smith goes to Washington shtick in 2008. Rather than restoring trust in the government, Obama's presidency simply confirmed millions of Americans' worst suspicions about official Dom. In the final years of his presidency, Obama was far more likely to condemn cynicism than he was to trumpet idealism. By the end of Obama's presidency, idealism was roadkill on the political highway. Donald Trump's 2016 pledge to drain the swamp was the ultimate perverse political promise, at least according to the standards of the Washington establishment. The 2020 presidential race between Trump and Joe Biden was about as uplifting as a hemorrhoid ointment commercial. But this is a positive development for anyone who values straight dealing in public life. Idealism has surpassed patriotism as the last refuge of a scoundrel. Idealistic appeals were used by President John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and Richard Nixon to vindicate the Vietnam War. By President Bill Clinton to sanctify the bombing of Serbia, and by George W. Bush to dignify the devastation of Iraq. The mainstream media is almost always willing to help presidents should foreign carnage with pompous claptrap. Washington Post columnist David Ignatius declared in late 2003 that Bush's war in Iraq may be the most idealistic war fought in modern times. Idealism encourages citizens to view politics as a faith-based activity, transforming politicians from hucksters to saviors. The issue is not what government did in the past. The issue is how we must do better in the future. Politicians' pious piffle is supposed to radically reduce the risk of subsequent perfidy, and this could be the hook the media uses to coronate Joe Biden as a born-again idealist, thereby perpetuating the same Teflon shield it provided him during the presidential campaign. Early Americans idealized the Constitution, yet much of Biden's career was devoted to obliterating American constitutional and legal rights. Biden was the architect of federal asset forfeiture programs that wrongfully plundered billions of dollars from innocent Americans. You hear that? Biden supporters, Biden worshipers, you're talking about RICO Act's #1 fan, Joe Biden. All right? Another bend over Bob and New World Order stooge. Okay? Prove me wrong if you dare. Please, write to me, try to call me out. You're going to get an F- on steroids, all right? Don't like being insulted, okay? As the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Biden co-wrote the 1994 crime bill the New York Times noted helped spawn explosion of the prison population. Biden boasted in 1994 even major crime bills since 1976 that's come out of this Congress has the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden. But Biden can probably expunge his horrid record if he champions Washington's favorite type of idealism, one that exalts government action as the highest expression of the best within us. After Trump's endless denunciations of the deep state, the political establishment is striving to put the federal government and Washington back on a pedestal. As a recent Washington Post headline proclaimed, Washington's atrocities hopes a Biden presidency will make schmoozing great again. The Post quickly changed its initial headline to the Washington's establishment, but aristocracy remained in the body of this article. The same aristocracy hopes that idealism will provide the magic words to make the peasantry again defer their superiors. Idealism is going to save the world, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed shortly after World War I left much of Europe in ruins and paved the way for communist and Nazi takeovers. Nowadays, idealism is often positive, thinking about growing servitude. Obama was only the most recent president to rely on rent-a-halo rhetoric to blur political reality. Americans cannot afford to venerate any more idealists in chief, hungry to seize new power or start new wars. And he's absolutely correct. Without a doubt. All you gotta do is follow the money, do your homework. You'd be surprised what these clowns can do. I still have my Obama Joker shirt. I'm damn proud of owning it. But one thing I can tell you for sure. If you're going to go have him sign a book and kiss his ass, then you're part of the problem. You should be wearing a button. Less patriotic than Benedict Arnold. Anyone that wants tyranny, wants to snitch on people, you know what? You need to go to jail for RICO. A lot of us can play that game too. Give you a taste of your own medicine. If you want to dish out, you better learn to receive. So, one of those areas you always got to look at. You never trust the government. You don't believe their hype. You don't look at these people as your lords and saviors. They don't give a damn about you. But the mainstream garbage media praise men like him. That's how pathetic they are. There's people in my age group, my demographics, still buy that hoopla. You haven't learned a damn thing about history. The past is today's greatest teacher. Always got to remain vigilant. You never trust the government, period, regardless of federal, state, or local. That's in our blood. That's our heritage. I know one thing for sure. That I can tell you one thing. That book will be a fictitious comedy, fictitiously comical. There are times will come and I'll blow back in their faces when they least expect it. And all the people that praise individuals like him, don't come crying to me because you'll be contaminating space. I say, turn around, go back to your cave. And that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share it throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you said something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Furthermore, I will leave the footnotes on both my Spreaker page, and I might add a Canadian Constitution with that C-6 bill, C-6 article, okay? If you want to contact me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or LokiLuckNumbers03@protonmail.com. If you want to do some donations to these sites, American Conservative and Lifesite News, that'd be greatly appreciated. Or if you want to send me some contributions, you can hit me at paypal.me/LokiLuck3. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.